Welcome to the Building Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Don Tarjanskas, and join us as we explore the world of construction. Each episode, we welcome a guest that shares career highlights and career advice, and hopefully inspires the next generation of construction professionals. Welcome to another edition of the Building Your Career podcast. This is a podcast first where I've actually got three guests on, and not just one. So very, very excited. And this is going to be a little bit different because these are all people at trainee level who have been through exactly what you're looking to go through, been there and done that, and are very much in the midst of it at the moment. So I'll just go round. Sarah, if you want to start off first and just introduce yourself and talk us through what you're doing at Coniston.
Hi, I'm Sarah Ellis. I'm a site manager. I'm currently running a job at the London Ambulance Service. I'm also on the same job as Reece as well. So I just help out with sort of procurement and stuff, and then make sure all the equipment and operatives arrive on site on time, and it's all installed properly and safely. Stuff like that, really. Yeah.
Brilliant. And same question to you, Hannah, if you could just introduce yourself and give us a little snapshot of what you do.
So hi, my name is Hannah. I'm working as a trainee quantity surveyor rather than a site manager, but at the same company, Coniston. I'm kind of responsible for all of the accounts, so I manage kind of like the payment side of things with the subcontractors.
Brilliant. And same to you, Reece, if you could just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of what you're responsible for and what team you fit into.
So my name is Reece. I'm very similar to Sarah with what I'm doing. So I'm a training site manager. Currently, really my role involves like supervising subcontractors, supervising our own labour, ordering materials, waste products, getting rid of waste products, also doing a bit in the office like site diary and reviewing rounds. Really, what I'm doing.
Brilliant. So if we could just go back in terms of the construction industry, I suppose the big question that a lot of our listeners will want to know is why the construction industry? What sparked your interest? So if you start off with Sarah, what sparked your interest in construction and what steps did you take to get into the industry?
So originally my stepdad was a carpenter, so he used to take me to a lot of open houses when I was younger. And he used to just talk about what he'd do on the project and what he would change and the bits that were wrong, and from his perspective at least. And then my brother went to the same uni that I'm at, Loughborough University, and did the same course that I'm doing, construction engineering management. And whenever he'd come home and talk about that, I was just so excited about what that meant in like the future. Like I could see myself doing that in the future. I did have a bit of an issue because my school didn't actually have any sort of infrastructure surrounding like careers in construction, so I had to go out and sort of do that myself and do some research myself on that, but it was so worth it and it's a really good degree.
Brilliant. And same question to you, Hannah. What kind of sparked your interest and what steps did you take to first start out in the industry?
Okay, I was saying that most people kind of have someone in their family that works in the construction industry and kind of delves their interest in it. But mine was my uncle, so he works as a quantity surveyor. And I remember when I was probably about 14, before I was picking my like sixth form options, he said to me about a project that he was working on. And I just remember thinking, like, it's so cool as a child to think that you can be a part of something so big and you can look at it in the future and think, I helped to do that. I had a part in that. I did that. And so that's what kind of piqued my interest. And I was full force ahead in quantity surveying.
Absolutely. And with you, Reece, what kind of sparked your interest and where did you first start off then?
Well, a bit different to what Hannah was saying is that no one in my family is actually in the construction industry. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something where if I continued studying that I'd be working towards my career. I wanted to make sure that there was like sort of a career path that I could work at and slowly make my way into a industry, whatever industry. And then I discovered construction. It was almost like discover like it's not really at the forefront of options that you're pretty common, but I read into it, and like every day is different, very similar in this case that Hannah, you can be involved in something that does seem so big, but you can have such a pivotal role making decisions. And especially at our company, Coniston, where we do a lot of heritage work, almost we still are involved in new technologies, but we've also got historical aspects that we also get to see. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, definitely. And that's my passion, is the historical side of things. I worked as an architect for about 8 years in that listed building sector. So yeah, something that I am strongly passionate about as well. So I'm very, very jealous of you starting off your careers in that sector, really. But on to the next question. It's all about the kind of the early days of the your first experience in construction. So what do you think are some of the key lessons that you've learned along the way at the very beginning stages? And, if you could turn back and give yourself a little bit of advice at the beginning, what would that be? So first question over to Sarah.
To be honest, I think one of the main things that I'd say is just write everything down, take loads and loads of notes on what everybody's saying, any meetings that you have, any snagging that you do, just write everything down, because your memory is always fallible. But if you don't understand anything, and if you do forget something, you always have those lists to look back on that you can look up later, or even just go through that list and say, yeah, I've done that, tick that off.
That's a very simple but very effective bit of advice there. So yeah, I think that's amazing. And same to you, Hannah. What kind of advice would you give yourself? What have you learned so far on the way that you think is a key bit of advice?
I would definitely say that if you don't ask, you won't get. So if you want opportunities, you have to ask for them. You have to be proactive. Kind of like any questions you have, ask them as well, because no question is silly, as they say. You can't expect to like walk onto a construction site and know every single bit of construction technology about the building when you're only a student or an apprentice, or however you've got into it. You have to learn along the way. So people that are older than you with more experience, always take everything that you can from them.
I'm really glad you said that, actually, because that seems to be a running theme with a lot of the seniors that are on here, is that ask the questions, have an inquisitive mindset, ask those questions. And they want to stress as well, we're here to help. So I'm really glad that you said that, because both the people at the top and the more junior people, everyone wants to get on and provide information for each other. So brilliant. Yeah. And with you, Reece, what do you kind of feel as though you've learned along the way then? What's been the kind of the standout for you?
I mean, I definitely second what Sarah said. Writing stuff down, you may think it's like a waste of time, but it definitely can come to save you in a few weeks down the line when someone asks something and you've got it written down. But for me, I think when you ask for responsibilities that you feel like you have the confidence that you can achieve, try and take them on, because at the end of the day, once you start doing them more regularly, that's when you become more confident in things. Especially as well, I also felt when you inquire about people, obviously older, but working down the same career path as you, they're really good people just to sort of ask questions like, oh, how did you do this when you were my age? What did you struggle with? Because a lot of the stuff you learn at uni is important, but a lot of the skills like physically on site are quite hard to be taught. So try and pick up from people who've been down similar career paths can really help.
Okay, that's a great answer. And again, kind of reinforcing that of, just ask people the question, and they're more than happy to help and give you all the advice, really. So with your kind of experience so far, is there any particular courses that you would recommend? Or because obviously the construction industry is quite fast paced and fast changing, everything changes all the time. So how do you kind of keep up with the latest changes and trends, particularly going back to the technology that you mentioned earlier? And is there any particular courses or any websites that that you would recommend? So going out there first to Sarah.
Yeah, to be honest, it's just getting on as many training courses as you can, getting as much knowledge as you can sorted as early on as you can. I really enjoyed my SMSTS training course because a lot of that seems very you should know about it anyway, but it's nice to have it there. You can go back to it. You have a huge set of books with all of the regulations that you can use daily for health and safety wise. You can look back at them. And I mean, personally, I draw on the knowledge from that course a good while after I've done it.
Okay, perfect. And the same to you, Hannah. Is there any particular training courses, or how do you kind of keep in touch with the latest developments in the industry?
So I mean, there's many newsletters that I think I've subscribed to. They're filling up my mailbox as we speak. But I think if you constantly like expose yourself, then you'll just keep up with everything. There's also like LinkedIn pages you can follow, like subcontractors, main contractors, and all these pages where they'll post articles and they'll post like images from their projects, and you kind of learn about like the solutions that they've used, the innovations that they've had to come up with to overcome problems. And I'd say that, yeah, LinkedIn is probably my favorite one for that.
Brilliant. And with you, Reece, how do you kind of keep up with the ever-changing landscape of construction? Is there any particular training courses that you've been on that you thought were particularly good?
Yeah, so likewise, I've done my SMSTS. That's really good to get out of the way, try and get your employer to set you on that. Also, I'm a member of the student member of the CIOB, so likewise,
Okay.
I get quite a few newsletters through them, which is just a good way to stay up to date, especially as they are targeted to students.
Okay, brilliant. And on that one as well, because I know they have a lot of online videos and stuff like that as well. Is I take it there's kind of student discounts maybe on the CIOB if you're registered as a
Yeah,
student
there's a lot of stuff. Definitely worth just signing up.
Yeah.
It's free to do, so there's kind of no reason why not. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there to explore, so definitely worthwhile getting around.
Okay, awesome. Are you a job seeker, tired of endlessly scrolling through job boards with no success? Has your job search hit a dead end? Well, we're here to tell you there's another way. Here at Quest Personnel, we offer a variety of free resources to help job seekers just like you. Our team of expert recruiters is here to help you through every step of the job search process, from CV writing to interview techniques. But that's not all. We also offer exclusive access to workshops, networking events, and other job roles that you simply won't find anywhere else. So what are you waiting for? Get in touch now on our website, questpersonnel.co.uk. And in terms of where the industry is at the moment, I think, what we're trying to do on this podcast is just get rid of a lot of the myths that are involved in the construction industry to, kind of attract more people in. So I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here already, but is there anything that you thought, the construction industry, I've heard it's like this and that's not really for me, and then you've actually joined and it's been the total opposite of what you thought it was. So, Sarah, is there anything that you thought, that's just not for me because of this thing, and then you've got there and it's absolutely not the case?
Well, I mean, as a woman on site, you hear a lot about like Larry builders and all of this sort of stuff, but you come onto site and it's just completely not like that. Everybody's so lovely, and they're very much. I don't think one builder that I've met on site has ever made me feel uncomfortable or made me feel like not safe on site. So that was one thing that was sort of holding me back slightly from the construction industry to begin with. But I've come in and everybody's been so welcoming and lovely. They're always so happy to help as well. They will make fun of you a little bit, but then they tell you what you need to know, and that's just sort of the culture as well.
Definitely. I think, finding the right company culture is really crucial and important as well. So, if you're going forward for an interview or something like that, ask them what the company culture is like, because, it's great. Coniston is a great company, but always be open and asking those questions about what the company and culture setup is. So really, really good point there.
Yeah, I mean,
Hannah,
what drew me to...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Carry on.
What drew me to Coniston
Carry
originally
on,
was the fact that it was such a small company and everybody sort of knows each other. It's more of it's less of a big corporate company, I guess. It's obviously still very professional, but everybody knows each other in that sort of level.
Okay, perfect. And Hannah, same to you. Is there anything that any kind of myths that you've kind of broken since you've joined construction, or any preconceived ideas that you had?
I mean, the same as Sarah, really. Just as a woman, that was my main problem. I thought that you don't get heard, you don't be seen. Really hard to work your way up. But I mean, coming to Coniston and having my placement year, I've just realised it's not true at all. We're treated exactly the same way. You have the same opportunities, and it's about how hard you work, not about who you are, what you are. It's about putting the work in, and it will show, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. And same to you, Reece. Is there any particular thing that you thought the industry was going to be, and it's just not turned out to be that way?
I mean, especially when you tell a lot of people, oh, I'm getting into construction. A lot of people think it just involves laying bricks and fixing electrics. It's not all about that. There's so many different careers that are all within construction that you just have to go find out about, because maybe one can be for you. Especially where we're working, like, you might see new builds being built all the time around your house, but with our company, we're doing all sorts of jobs in the centre of London on listed buildings. So many different opportunities out there.
Yeah, definitely. That's such good advice, because, as you say, a lot of people do just think, oh, they look around and think, oh, that's obviously what it is. And they only see the finished product and think, okay, that's construction, when there's just so much more to it than that. So, yeah, really valid and good point there. So in your opinion, just kind of starting out then, and please speak as openly and honestly as you want, but what can the industry do better to both support, attract, retain young talent? Is there anything either, kind of down the university or education route that you would kind of change there? Or is there anything in the interview process or stage, or how companies attract you in, that can be changed? Or anything about, other interviews that you went on that was simply, they could have done that a lot better to attract the young talent? So I suppose first to Sarah.
I think some of the bigger companies are slightly less personal with their interview process, and that sort of pushed me away a little bit from those bigger companies. But something sort of industry-wide that I do think degree apprenticeships and apprenticeships themselves are one thing that really, from a younger age, need to be pushed for people coming up in the construction industry, or who are even vaguely interested in the industry. Because I think university is a great way of learning in theory and sort of gaining a wider knowledge of the industry. But practically, having a degree apprenticeship means that you learn things on site, and then you can apply it a couple of days a week in university. So I think it's a very different sort of way forward, especially for people who do go into the industry, who have gone into the industry because they aren't very academic. Learning practically is just a different way forward.
Yeah, that's how you kind of learn the best, really, is just to get on and do it and be hands-on and go and learn the job on site yourself. But yeah, I fully agree with you there. Same to Hannah. Is there anything that the industry can do better, or anything that you wish people had kind of done a little bit differently when you were kind of interviewing or starting out, or the education route?
I mean, I think the construction industry struggles with exposure. especially of like the professional sector of the construction industry. Because when you speak to people, you say, I work in construction. As Reece said, they expect me to say, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a chippy, I'm a labourer. And I think people they aren't even aware of the other many jobs that are out there in the construction sector. So I think, Coniston done it recently. We visited a school for their careers day. So we spoke about like the opportunities of apprenticeships in construction and whatever. And half of the kids didn't even know what a QS was. They didn't know what a construction manager was. Like, it's just, I think telling people about it is the most important part at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's just reaching out to as many people as possible and just getting them interested and talk about the variety. But you are completely right. Exposure is a major issue that, does need to be addressed. And for you, Reece, is there anything that you kind of would have liked to have seen at those earlier stages in terms of the way companies went about the interview process, or, just to kind of attract you to choose the construction as a career?
I think if you took it back really to when we all decided to do construction, sort of like when we're doing our A levels and stuff, there could be people, similar to what Hannah said, people with a great skill set to become a project manager or a QS, but they wouldn't even know what a QS is to be able to use them skills in the industry. So when we're all at that age, we're all looking at jobs in like science and engineering and stuff, but construction just really isn't up there.
Yeah, I do completely agree. And that's what we're kind of trying to do on this podcast, is to reach out to as many people as possible, just get our voices heard and just get the word out there, really. But thank you very much for being guests. It's been amazing to have you on and really hear about what it's like, and particularly Coniston as a company as well. It sounds like they've been very good in terms of your training and development and really taking care of you and treating you like actual people rather than just numbers. So
Absolutely, yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So Sarah, Hannah, Reece, thank you so much for being guests. It's been great. It's been a good learning curve for me as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us on the Building Your Career podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing from our guest and learning about the different career paths available. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so we can reach even more listeners. And if anyone wants any free CV advice or simply wants to know the options available to them, don't hesitate to get in touch.